I, Yahweh, am the first. I, Yahweh, am the first. The first. Yahushua the Messiah, the first coming of Yahweh to earth. And with the last, I am He. I, Yahweh, am the first. And with the last, I am He. So he's once again saying, I am the first and the last, but this time he's saying it in a different way so that we don't get focused on the basic interpretation that I already mentioned. Because he's saying, I am Yahweh, I'm the first. I, Yahweh, I'm the first. And with the last, I am He. So when Yahushua came, he said that if the grain doesn't fall to, the grain of wheat doesn't fall to the soil and dies, it cannot give fruit. So that's why Messiah had to come as the grain of wheat alone, because nobody understood anything of what he was talking about or anything that he was fulfilling, as most people think they do nowadays. So when Messiah came as the grain of wheat, he died so that he would become the root of the congregation, the root of David, the root of Yeshai that we see in Isaiah 11. So when he died, he became the root. If he didn't die, he would not have become the root, and then there would be no branch, which is the second coming. The second coming would not happen because the second coming is a branch which will give fruit in the end times. That branch needs to be in the stump, which will be connected to the root. The stump being the congregation, the root being Messiah, and the branch being the second coming, the last. Yahushua came as the first, as the grain of wheat, to die for our sins and become the root. That's why it only says, I, Yahweh, am the first. It doesn't say, I, Yahweh, am with the first. No, he says, I am the first. Because Messiah, Yahushua, is the only begotten Son of Yahweh. So he's simply the first. There was nobody other than him, because he is the only begotten Son. He came as the only grain of wheat, who died alone and became a root. So I hope that's clear. That's why he says the first part like that. I, Yahweh, am the first. And with the last, I am He. So he's telling us here how his second manifestation on earth would be. Most people think of the second coming as simply the second coming of Messiah. And I dare to say it's not wrong to say it like that. However, it can be misunderstood or misinterpreted. Because as we know, Messiah is the manifestation of Yahweh on earth. So the second coming of Messiah, it is actually the second manifestation of Yahweh on earth. So we cannot expect the same thing, because on the one hand, Yahweh doesn't make anything in the same way. He uses reflections, prophetical signs, but he always changes the way that he manifests his miracles. And the change is not that he changes, is the fact that he does everything in a higher, more amazing, more miraculous way each and every time. So we can use the Old Testament to see what is going to happen, but it's not going to happen exactly like the Old Testament says. Yahweh will make it even greater than what we may be able to imagine through what we see in the Old Testament. I hope that is clear. So Yahweh, through these verses, is saying that he would manifest on earth twice. He would manifest as a man on earth twice. Not just once. Not just once being born and then from heaven. No, because he says, and with the last. Meaning, and in the last generation, which he was saying, calling the generations from the beginning. With the last means the last people of the last generation. Yahweh is saying that he would manifest during the end times among the last people. He would be born once again among the last generation. So he would grow from the chosen few. He would come out of the chosen few. The congregation of the chosen few, one of them, Yahweh would choose to be him. Or Yahweh would manifest as one of them. That's why it says, and with the last, I am He. He wants to make sure that people understand that He will be on earth with the last generation. This is important because people say, no, He will just pick it up, or no, He will just appear in heaven. He's saying, no, I will be hanging around. And with the last, I am He. So, two manifestations of Yahweh on earth, not just Messiah, because Messiah is the Spirit of Yahweh in a body. And mainly, Messiah refers to the first coming. The second coming, Yahweh refers to it as the prophet. So, we see in scriptures that Yahweh promised three people, and we are about to see that also. Eliyahu, the Messiah, and the prophet. If we were to separate them with titles or names, Eliyahu, the name of the man, Messiah, anointed, who gives us the spirit, the unction, and then the prophet like Moshe. So he's the one who will be the voice, who will speak to the people, that which Yahushua said. And the connection of the last to the people will be Eliyahu. So it would be Yahweh, Yahushua, second coming, the last, witness like Moshe, witness like Eliyahu, the few, the many, the nations. That's in a way the hierarchy that is going to exist in the kingdom.